person that is also amazing in this story that had an incredible amount of faith is Joseph. But what do we really know about Joseph, the father of Jesus?
Yes. Well, the exciting answer is almost nothing.
Great. This was fun. Okay, hug it out.
Yeah, totally. But that doesn't mean we can't explore and make some informed, assumptions about what his life would have been like, the kind of person that he was. So we have mentioned a couple times that he was a tradesman, and so he's living up in this kind of distant region from Jerusalem and everything else. That's kind of far away for them. And all of a sudden, he gets news. He's been engaged. We know they've been engaged, Mary and Joseph, for a while. Sometimes this would last a year. Sometimes these arranged marriages would happen years before the actual wedding ceremony. And so just imagine you're married and your fiance turns up pregnant. And what she tells you is, well, I had a dream and an angel told me.
Yeah, I wouldn't be buying that. There's no way I would buy an ounce of that story. If you're a normal human guy, you're like, all right, he stepped out on me.
Come on. Exactly. So, and certainly that's what he at first thought, because we're told that he was a righteous man, which means he adhered to the laws of Israel's covenant laws and so on. So he was going to break off the betrothal, which is what he was supposed to do. That's what you do. He also had a dream where an angelic being appeared to him and said, hey, don't break off the betrothal, marry this woman and commit yourself to whatever is going to happen, because things are going to get crazy.
Yeah, because I don't know about you, but that's what it would have taken for me. I would need God to show up and go, hey, man, you're not going to believe this. But she's telling you the truth.
And I hear that. However, it was a dream.
Yeah.
And in their culture, they viewed these types of dreams differently. I've had some pretty strange dreams where I thought people were telling me this, and I didn't know what to think when I woke up. But he woke up and he became convinced that it was a divine word to him. And then to think that he's now joining, the fact that he won't break off the marriage, he's now joining Mary and associated with all the suspicion surrounding her. He's going to marry a woman that everyone in their community is going to consider a compromiser, sexually unfaithful.
Well, yeah, because know that these two have this encounter with God in a way that no one else did, and no one else bought any of that story around them.
Right. So, I mean, really, if you're best friends, came up to you and they were engaged, and then they both are telling you, well, we had these dreams, and she's pregnant by the Holy Spirit. So you want to come to our wedding? And you'd be like, no, we need an intervention right now. This is not okay. So it's very startling. So that short window of events, that could have just taken place over a few months, that gives us windows into his character.
Is Joseph ever talked about much again in the Bible after that?
After the story of Jesus later on going to Jerusalem with his parents when he's 12 in the Gospel of Luke, his parents are there. And that is the last time Joseph appears, is when Jesus is 12. And he never appears again. When he's an adult, only his mom ever features in the stories, which it's a speculation, but I think it's a good one. The odds are he likely passed away in that time period.
Oh, that's interesting.
And we don't know why, but that's where that idea comes from, is that after he's 12, he's just gone in terms of his personal appearance. So we don't know.
Right.
And then you have to think about what that means in terms of Jesus' life experience, that his father passed away in his teens.
See, that's important, because I've actually never heard that, really, and so that's kind of why we're doing this, because you think about it, there are so many people that grow up without a dad or grow up without a mom, and it definitely affects them and their life. And the one thing that I've always contended that's so important about the Jesus story is that he was human and he was deity, he was God, and he can understand, and he's been through what we've been through. So there's so many people that grew up as a child, an orphan, or didn't have have their parent in their life, and it'd be easy to think that, well, God doesn't understand, Jesus can't understand. If he lost his dad, then what more of a perfect example of someone that would understand what that's like, and to be able to empathize with us to this day.
The other interesting thing is that after Jesus is born, he can now lead his brand new family across a dangerous road trip across a desert, right down to northern Africa. He's got to bring them back, and they go back wanting to land with him, and they can't. And so then they have to end up back in Nazareth. And so this is a multi-year season of their early family life. This is so traumatic.
So I think the interesting thing about Joseph is that in this story, even, he had doubts, like until God came to him and said, hey, it's cool, in his dream. Like, he had doubts. And I think that that's something that we probably all do with our faith at some point in time. So with the Joseph story, what does it tell us about maybe God's role in his life and how we can apply that to ourselves today in our story?
By my experience, the majority of people I know don't get divine dreams that tell them the meaning of their difficult situations in life.
Yeah.
Like, that's not a privilege most of us get. And however, you do have to think, as the years went by and they're fleeing refugees going down to northern Africa, you have to think he began to wonder if that dream was just his imagination.
Right.
Yeah. And so to me, what's remarkable about what we can see of his character is that even though we don't know whether he had a lot of faith or a little faith, he was faithful.
Right.
Right? He stayed committed to what he believed God was leading his family through, and his wife and Mary's son that he was now to take care of. Like, that required an immense amount of commitment off a dream. He's going off a dream here.
And faith when everybody else around you is probably mocking you. Kind of like Noah as well. Right. He had that faith, and all the signs pointed to, like, this doesn't make any sense. Yeah. But he stayed true to that. And I think the other part of this that's important too is that God gave Joseph what he needed to get through that. For him. It took a dream to make that realization and flip that script. And I think that same God does the same thing with us today. And what you need, Tim, in your faith might be different from what I need in mine, but I think God is faithful to give each of us what we need, when we need it.
And it doesn't mean that we get to parachute out of our difficult circumstances.
Right.
It seems like it was just a hard road for their family. But that doesn't mean God wasn't with them.
Special thanks to Tim and the Bible Project for partnering with us to make Humans of Bethlehem. They make incredible videos that clearly show how the Bible is a unified story that leads to Jesus. Definitely check out their channel and videos using the links below. You can watch the full Humans of Bethlehem series right over here, or you can subscribe to Way Nation for more hilarious and meaningful videos right over here.